friends are like old memories. They always remind you of your past, and we are reminding ourselves of the past episodes from this week of Good Company for the best of Good Company with me, Hollie Taylor. A wild story coming out of the Baltic Seas. Yes, there is this whale. And this whale really wants to hang out on the beach, unfortunately. And so crews are sent out to keep pushing them back out into the sea, pushing them back out. And they're wondering, how many times do we have to do this? Because this whale seems hung up on getting too close to the shore and getting stuck. And nobody wants to see a beached whale, but usually they learn. They don't go close next time. This case, it's the same whale. And it keeps doing the same thing. And even though this is an animal, I really got to thinking about some of the times that we behave like this in our own life where we know better. And yet we keep finding ourselves in the same situation again and again and again. So we can look at this whale and be critical, but I think sometimes in life, we do the same thing. Feel free to text in 905-338-1250. On a lesser serious note, I was this whale this weekend. I went to a dance competition. We were in a beautiful soft seat theater. It's so old, like 1800s kind of theater. And so it had these wooden armrests, and the space wasn't really what we normally experience when we go to the movies or to a theater. And so, can I tell you, I think almost every time I sat down and got up again, I whacked the same spot on each side of my leg, depending if I was rushing to the right or rushing to the left to get my daughters after routine to help them change for the next one. And I thought, am I the only one doing this? Thank goodness. Last night, I heard a couple moms complaining about the exact same thing. So here we are all with bruises on our legs. And to think, if we just had been a little more careful, learned our lesson the first time, this would not be a thing. So what is your story? 905-338-1250, something you keep doing and you know you shouldn't. It's Hollie Taylor. We're talking pranks today. Share your stories, 905-338-1250. That's the number to text or call to be part of Good Company. And I'm actually just taking notes. These are some pretty good pranks that have been texted in already. This one is from Rachel. She says that she was turning 16 and her parents filled up her bedroom with balloons. So when she woke up, the floor just had all these balloons on it. She said it was the best surprise and a good prank because she used it years later in college to prank a roommate. So blowing up balloons, throwing them into rooms. We have the Post-it prank. This is from Rachel. She texted in. She said her boss went on vacation. They broke into his office and put Post-its all over his desk and chairs. I mean, a funny idea, but as someone who loves Post-its, I mean, maybe a little bit of a waste of a office stationery supply, but that's okay. I can only imagine the look on his face when he came back to work and there was just Post-its everywhere. That one's pretty funny. I talked about some of the pranks that have happened here at our company, and it seems like whenever the bosses go away, something happens. Most recently, pictures of tigers just appeared in someone's office when they came back from vacation. They had a good laugh at all of the pictures of tigers. So there you go. A good prank, I think, again, is harmless. It's fun, and it's one you don't mind sharing. This is about a fun discovery. A sword from many, many moons ago. Now, we've all heard the story of the Crusades. Not ideal when we take a look at the Christian faith and that element of legacy, but there was a reason why they felt it was something they needed to do. So yes, they went out and they battled. And of course, in this process, they lost a few things here and there. And back in 2021, a diver discovered a sword. And he thought this was amazing. It was actually a crusader's sword, and it was barnacled, had shells on it. And this was a diver who was, just enjoying all the things that he was finding. And so with this sword, he has it hung in his home. Well, guess what? Recently, same spot, he found another sword. Using CT scanners from a nearby hospital, they were able to examine it. And again, underneath all of the barnacles, underneath the shells, was another Crusader's sword. The iron blade still exists underneath all of this, but to preserve it and not risk it being wrecked, it's going to remain under sand, barnacles, and shells. But still a very interesting find indeed. Man, these swords were huge. Makes me wonder what these guys look like. I'm Hollie Taylor. We are talking today about the do's and don'ts of group chats. Text message here from Melissa. She says, don't spam people with unnecessary replies. Sometimes those words are left best untyped. Yeah, I think that's a fair one. Try to stay on topic, says Corrine. It's hard to follow when everyone's taking the chat in different directions. It can be confusing and overwhelming. For sure. Absolutely. Troy says, I'm in the tech industry. Try to avoid sending large files or memes. Sometimes they can be annoying, but they also will take up space. I didn't think of that. I send memes. I might be guilty of a don't. Keep it short and simple. This is from Tina. Be patient. This is another one. It's from Lindsay. She says, sometimes it takes me a while to reply. Then people think that I'm mad, but I've just been busy. And then sometimes there's just nothing to add. So why add to the noise? So there we go. Be patient. That's a good one. I'm sure there's a lot more that we could say about group chats. You can text in. Love hearing from you today. You know what? We hear a lot about the healthy things we should be eating and the things that we should not be eating. But when I heard bacon made the list of things not to eat, I was a little taken back. Now, I'm sure if it's actual bacon from a pig, from a butcher, you should be good to go. Although maybe not the best out of all the meats that you could eat. However, anything that's processed is a big no-no. They are finding more and more that it is directly linked to cancers. So processed foods, not good for our body. And it makes sense. You end up just eating food-like products, not actual food full of the nutrients that we need. So processed meats, high on that list. Do not eat if you can. That would be your bolognas, your processed ham, hot dogs. Oh, my beloved sausages. I mean, a good old smoky on a barbecue, yes, but maybe no at the same time. So something to keep in mind as we get closer and closer to our summer months and barbecue season kicks off full swing. Keep it real, not processed, for your healthier options. Here's Caleb and John with Finished on Joy Radio. And we're talking about the lessons that we have learned throughout the past 40 days of Lenten. So maybe you gave up a certain kind of food. Maybe you were making sure to carve out morning times to pray. Maybe you're being intentional about helping other people. In all of these exercises and these beautiful spiritual disciplines, God can take that season and teach us something. Give us words of wisdom. Help us see the world in a different way. And that's what John texted in at 905-338-1250. He says, I prayed that God would help me see people for who they are. And it wasn't evil. It was sad and hurt. And I think that's very interesting insight. And I think it's true. You know, anger is the lowest common denominator. Sometimes people act angrily. However, they're sad. They're tired. They are lonely. And we tend to bite people when we're in these vulnerable situations. So someone would say, that's an angry person. But really, like that saying goes, hurt people hurt people. So what an incredible lesson that you were able to experience these past 40 days. Thank you so much for sharing. Another one here. This is from Dina. She says that she learned in fasting that we all hunger for something. What are you going to fill that hunger with? And for me, says Dina, it will be God's word. Wow, that is deep. Thank you so much for sharing. Well, that's a wrap. Those are our favorite memories from this past week. Join me for more Good Company live every weekday from 4:30 till 6 p.m. here on Joy Radio. Oh, and don't forget, you can also catch up by subscribing to our Joy Radio podcast. If you'd like to join in on the conversation, text 905-338-1250. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on Monday.